You've probably heard the term hip hinge for the bike. You've probably heard it, you may know what it is, you may not know what it is. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about what a hip hinge is, why it's so important for us mountain bikers, and how to improve yours and make yours better so you can perform better on the bike. So I hope you really enjoy this video. If you do, please like it and also make sure you subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So the hip hinge is literally your ability on the bike, or in general, to go from standing to hinging your hips backwards. So you're tilting at your hips. So it's with a straight back, your bum's going backwards and you're hinging forwards onto the bike, or hinging forwards with a nice straight back. So on the bike, you do that when you're in the attack position on your bike. So you're going from standing to getting into that attack position. When you're bunny hopping, because you go down and quickly up. And also when you're manualing as well, because you push your bum back and push the bike away from you to kind of get that hip hinge, to get that manual position. So you really use that hip hinge a real lot on the mountain bike. So it's really important that you have a good hip hinge to be able to manual well, to be able to attack well, just to be able to ride well in general. Now, the reason that some mountain bikers struggle with this, and there's two main reasons for this. One of them is tightness. So they've got quite a lot of tightness in the hips and tightness in the hamstrings. And the other side of it as well is weakness. So they actually struggle to hold that position because the muscles are tight. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do on both sides of those things. The first side I'm going to show you is actually improving your flexibility so you can get into the position. And the second thing I'm going to show you is how to build your strength in that position so you can hold it for longer and manual better, hold that better attack position. So the first thing that holds mountain bikers back from getting into that good hip hinge position is muscle tightness. Now specifically and mainly for the hip hinge and holding back that hip hinge is tight hip muscles, which are right in there, and also tight hamstrings, so the muscles on the back of your upper leg. When they get tight, you really can't get back into that hip hinge because those muscles are just so stiff and so tight that they stop you from getting back into that position. So if you struggle with this, there's a couple of really simple things you can do to actually help you build up your flexibility in that hip hinge. There's two really good stretches. So the first one is a simple hip stretch. So what you're going to do is go on one knee, 1 foot forward, and you're going to drive forward and your hips back. And what that's going to do is just stretch your hips there. So push forward, lean back, and you can just hold that for about a minute. You can twist it. And what you're really aiming for is to get a good deep stretch right in that hip in there. So you can hold that for a minute. Make sure you do the other leg. So that's one stretch you can do to loosen off your hip. And then the second thing you can do is a hamstring stretch. So for this one, you're just going to be sat on the floor, bringing your foot into your inner leg there, and then just reach forwards and reach towards your hamstring and reach as far out as you can. And you want to really make sure you get that stretch in your hamstring right up there. And when you get there, you're just going to hold that for about a minute and then swap and then do a minute on the other leg. And what that's going to do over time, if you do that on a daily basis, is it will just help build that flexibility in your hip, build your hamstring flexibility, and really get it to the point where you can hinge properly. You've got the actual required flexibility to do that. So we've had a look at the flexibility side of things. Now we need to look at actually strengthening those muscles up and building them up so that you've actually got the strength to hold that hip hinge position and to be able to move dynamically through it. Now the way that you do this is through training off the bike. That's the absolute best way you do it, with specific exercises. Now you can do some of these at home, you can do some of these in the gym, but any sort of exercises that really work that hip hinge are going to be excellent for building it up and building it up for the bike. So you've got exercises like deadlifts, for example, where you're picking a barbell up and down off the ground. You've got a Romanian deadlift, which is a variation of a deadlift, but where your legs are almost completely straight. So that's really similar to that hip hinge position on the bike. You've got kettlebell swings, where you're swinging the kettlebells up and down. Any kind of exercises like that, where you've got that real hip hinge position, will just help you build up strength in that position. And what that'll do is it'll mean that when you're holding the hip hinge on the bike in a descent, when you're doing a bunny hop, when you're trying to do a manual, you've built up all the necessary strength in advance to actually be able to do that. So the hip hinge is really, really important for us mountain bikers. In this video now, you should have an idea of actually how to build it up so you can improve your flexibility to be able to get into that hip hinge position, and you can build up your strength so that you can hold that position and work dynamically through that movement. You put those two things together and that's how you build a proper hip hinge on the bike. Now, if you want specific mountain bike training to really build that hip hinge and every other possible movement on the bike to improve your flexibility and your strength, then grab a copy of my 12-week program and my 16-week MTB training program on the MTB Fitness website. Click the link in the description and that'll take you straight through there. But that will just show you exactly how to stretch and exactly how to train off the bike to build up that strength and to build up that flexibility so you can be the best possible rider. I hope you've loved this video. Please make sure you subscribe, and you can also click the buttons to watch another video, and I'll see you next time for another MTB Fitness video.